Oh, there she goes. All right, that looks pretty good. Have to get that pulled apart. So, I got all the rusty guck out of there, and this is looking actually the color it's supposed to be pretty close. So, got the whole thing fresh antifreeze in there. I'll be adding another gallon when I get the other radiator and get this thing running. So this should be good for quite a few years now after this. So it's kind of a good thing I came across this. Didn't really like the idea of putting it back together and having it all full of sludge. That just isn't right. So yeah, this looks pretty good. Right now it looks real good. Another problem solved. Well, here's something that I'm the only guy who builds these trikes does, mainly because I guess I'm the only guy who really builds reverse trike conversions on a full-time basis. But this is the third radiator. This is how I buy them. They're well packaged, they're nice aluminum, they do an excellent job on the welds. I mean, laying dimes, there you go. And they must come from France because it says Frigili right on there, which I believe is French. So they come shrink wrapped, sometimes they come in black. Usually they're just raw aluminum, but they're very nice units. What these are is this is the radiator for the Silver Wing, the 500V twin. This is what they use for a radiator. What I like about these is there's no filler. It's just got a inlet, outlet, that's it. And like I say, if you look at it, very high quality, very nice. I don't know why anybody else does not do this when they're doing these conversions, because these gold rings, as you know, can get warm, and when you put a obstruction in the front of the engine, like the reverse kit, the airflow is going to be reduced by about 30%. You actually do need this radiator. With the fan and the radiator and the extra hoses and stuff, I don't think it's much more than $100 to do this. It's well worth it. It's just something you do to make sure you don't have trouble in the future. And the way the fan sits in there, or the radiator, it's really just the two bolts that hold it in, one on each side. This is a bracket for the fan. The fan hooks on the radiator here and there, and it lays on top of these two, so it really is pretty neat little deal. So it's just a little, these are actually the bolts I take off of the bike. You know, I save all the bolts until I get the bike completely done. And then, to be honest, I take the bolts and I throw them in the garbage. Otherwise, I would end up with a 100 pounds of extra bolts I'll never use. Oh, and I forgot one thing. I have to actually grind the powder off of these tabs so that the radiator makes a good ground. I ran into an issue where the fan wouldn't come on because the powder coat prevented the radiator from being grounded. And the way this switch works, it's actually grounded to the radiator, and it has a lead that comes off of it that's positive. And when that switch closes, then it completes the circuit. So I have to grind that off. Much better. And as you notice, I get the plumbing in there first. Otherwise, it's quite hard to get that hose in there. You don't have a lot of elbow room. So that all goes in before this goes on. notice I'm not using a wrench on that. I use this instead. You don't want to over tighten that. That is aluminum. Get the fan on there, which lays on here just like that. So this frame just came out of the oven. It doesn't take too long for them to cool down. There. This is one of those Harbor Freight things. Actually works pretty good for this. I should use longer bolts. All right, so that's the complete unit right there. So these are some custom clamps that I build to hold the top of this frame to the motorcycle frame. They're a two-piece clamp that actually it's a three-piece clamp that I kind of assemble as I insert it. And it does wrap around the frame right at the junction where this frame and there's another offshoot that goes that way. It's right at the junction of that. So it's an extremely solid connection. Well, good progress today. I got my powder coat machine working. So I managed to do the adapter frames. I've got the anti-sway linkage and bars and all that. It's all powder coated. That's all done. This one is ready for ball joints and spindles, and this one here is close to it. I have to put the shocks on it in the morning, and then it'll be in the same position the other one is. And I should have, hopefully by tomorrow at this time, I should have the rotors and spindles and all that on them, and the anti-sway and all that. So I'm looking at having these completely wheels up, tires, wheels on, and everything about Wednesday. Today is Monday, so it's going real well. So it's a good day.